miserable out there. Let's start you out in Oklahoma City, where we can see the heat indices. Oh yeah, they are going to be in the triple digits pretty much all day long. We really don't cool down, at least feel like that, until we go into 9 o'clock this evening. And when I say cool down, that's really relative. We're talking about the upper 90s is what it's going to feel like around 9 o'clock this evening. So the temperatures right now in Texas, look at this. What it feels like in Brownsville is 87 degrees with that temperature coming in at 80 degrees. So you get the picture. Already this morning, we have plenty of humidity out there, and that's going to be the name of the game. We're also going to be watching for record heat for today. In Abilene, we could tie it. That was set back in 2006, 103. And check out Lubbock, Texas. 103 is that forecast, and the record 101 set back in 1993. That's pretty much shattering that record. As we go through this weekend, it's all about the humidity that's making it feel so much hotter out there. Stay safe. For millions of people sweating it out in dangerous heat across Texas, the dog days of summer seem to have no end in sight. And offsetting the way our bodies experience the heat comes down to 3 words: location, location, location. Trace and Bragg, with our partners at KHOU in Houston, shows us the difference a few feet can make.
Well, let's take a look at what's going on tropics-wise, both in the Pacific and the Atlantic. You'll notice all the activity. In the Pacific right now, we've got 1, 2, 3 areas that we're watching. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, we've got no activity, and no activity expected in the next 7 days. We'll get to the Atlantic in a minute, but first, Paul talked about Tropical Storm Hone. I want to talk about Hurricane Gilma, which is just behind Hone. Right now, a Category 2 storm. You'll notice the path takes it towards Hawaii, but notice what happens, too. It's going to weaken dramatically. It's got a couple more days as a hurricane. It's kind of in this sweet spot of not a lot of shear, not a lot of dry air, but as it gets closer to the Big Island, it's going to run into some cooler water, a lot of shear, and that's going to allow it to weaken, probably not even a tropical depression by the time it makes it to Hawaii. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, no tropical development expected in the next 7 days. And you're thinking, okay, this is the time of year that we typically see some of this activity in the Atlantic start to pick up. But there's a couple of factors that are at play right now. You'll see that, as we get over the next couple of days, there's at least a 60% chance there in the middle of the main development region that we could see some activity develop. But you'll notice as we get into September 10th and the peak of hurricane season.
So going to be working with the Pacific, and the Pacific is bubbling as well.
It's got 3 separate areas that we're watching, but for right now, all eyes are on Tropical Storm Hone, as it is
around Jacksonville, over a foot of rain there. 2 feet around Tampa, just to the south, where you're seeing some of that light pink and some of those whites there. So yeah, we picked up a lot of rain, and I can't say we're done yet because we actually forecasting more rain right through your Tuesday. So we'll pick up a couple of more inches before it's all said and done, possibly maybe even 2 to 3 in some of the darker greens. And then you see this little pocket right here, that yellow. Yep, that's about 3 to 5 inches possible before it's all said and done. So we have a boundary. This is a stalled out boundary. That means it's really not moving, and if it is moving, it's not moving all that quickly. We have the focal point there, and with that, we will have those thunderstorms. That's where they're going to really fire. So right now, they're firing in the Gulf of Mexico. We will continue to have this activity really pick up before it's all said and done for today. So this is why we're saying, and to get out there early, because right now we look good. Tampa, nothing but sunshine. Make sure you slather on the sunscreen and keep slathering it on as we go throughout the day. But just know how we're dealing with that sun, a little bit of cloud cover right now. We will start to see some changes before it's all said and done for today. There's the front. We're going to continue to watch that. We do have plenty of tropical moisture that's going to aid with these thunderstorms as we go throughout the day. Let's go ahead and time it out for you. You can see the green. That's the rain that will continue to come in. With that said, you see a lot of brown, right? No green. That means that we're going to stay dry in these areas, but we will have more rain coming in. So the bottom line, what I'm trying to say is that it won't be a washout. So it is some good news for us today in Florida, but we will have times where that rain comes in as we go into your Monday. Lots of rain coming in from Jacksonville all the way down off towards Miami. As we go in through your tomorrow, still more of the same, but we will start to see the activity more retrograde back off towards the west. So some areas that actually need that rain will get that, especially along that I-10 corridor. Paul, over to you.
There's a couple of different spots that we're watching for severe weather today. I want to start in the Denver area, where it's not just today and this afternoon. It's going to be a hot afternoon. It's going to add to our energy for our storm potential, but also Sunday night, even lingering into Monday, as our next system that's going to move from west to east across the lower 48 is really starting to take shape. Today, we've got 3 separate areas, starting in Missouri, Kansas City, just outside of the Kansas City area, down through the Ozarks, and even into northern Arkansas. We've got Elk City, which we just saw heating up very quickly this morning, stretching into Kansas, and then a much bigger area of real estate from Albuquerque, a lot of Colorado and the Rockies, and then we stretch into areas like Nebraska and portions of Wyoming. So far, so good. We've got some activity just outside of Kansas City and central portions of Missouri. All of that is staying in check so far as severe weather goes. It is a lot of heavy rain if you're traveling this morning, but we're really going to wait for the better part of today into this afternoon before we start to see more widespread showers and thunderstorms, especially across the Rockies. I know this is a great time of year to get outside in Colorado, and you've got the Rockies. It's going to be the first half of the day that you really want to get all of your outside activity in, especially if you're hanging out near any of the higher elevations. Tomorrow, now this system that we're bringing across the lower 48 is going to start to strengthen. That low pressure is going to deepen, and because of that, our chance for severe weather goes up. There's the low pressure. We've got a cold front. We've got this warm front that's helping draw up all of this very warm, humid air pretty far to the north, areas like the northern plains as well as the upper Midwest. We've got daytime heating. Check. It is summertime, so we're still plenty hot, and that's going to allow for some of the energy to build pretty efficiently, and upper level winds not only increasing but turning out of the southwest. So that brings in the straight line damaging wind threat. Let's get the timing on this as we look at high-res future radar. A lot of activity in the afternoon, classic summertime, right? And then we look at South Dakota for a lot of the really central part of the activity, and that's going to continue all the way through the overnight hours, stretching into areas like Minnesota, International Falls, quite the cluster of thunderstorms around.
We're talking about a heat index that's going to go up to about 112 before it's all said and done. So here we go right here. Not really cooling off, those are air quotes, until maybe around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock this evening, with numbers that will be in the upper 90s. So yeah, those are your feels like temperature. That's the most important thing. Just like this morning in Brownsville, actual temperatures at 83 degrees, but it feels like 94 degrees already. You get the picture. So we are going to be working with a record heat once again for today. Abilene, we could tie records 2006, 103, and that's the forecast. And then Lubbock, 1993, 101. We're forecasting 103 for today. So it is going to be dangerously hot once again. That's going to be the plan as we go through the weekend, as humidity always makes things much worse. For millions of people sweating it out in dangerous heat across Texas, the dog days of summer seem to have no end in sight. And offsetting the way our bodies experience the heat comes down to 3 words: location, location, location. Trace and Bragg with our partners at KHOU in Houston shows us the difference a few feet can make.